There we go. And so it is my honor, my joy, and my delight to bring to Masters of Evaluation's virtual stage the hardest working president in Toastmasters, the always poised and confident, the dynamic leader of this club, President Dave Ryan, who we must have a stand-in for Dave somewhere.
That would be Sandra
Savage, the beautiful, the illustrious Sandra Savage. Step up to the virtual microphone. Beautiful.
Thank you. And it's so great to see so many of you from all over the world today. We have a real treat in store for you. As Masters of Evaluation, we want to continually not only hone our communication and leadership skills, but our evaluation skills as well. They go hand in hand. So today we have a very special agenda, and I will be popping in the booklet for any of you who didn't get ahead of time to read it. We're going to try out the standard contest style evaluation, but we're also going to do 4 other ones. We're going to look at the message. Why are you even talking to us? What are you trying to say? What is your goal? Then we're going to have a team of 3 for our other 2 speeches, and they're going to be eyes, ears, and heart. So you ears get to close your eyes and relax. You eyes, EYES, are going to pretend to close your ears and watch and see how much of the message you can get from hand gestures, body languages, pauses, all the effective tools that we can use to enhance our message. And the people who have the message or the heart and the feel, that's my favorite one. Because that's where you get to really rate the value of the speech. Did it persuade you to do anything? Are you going to think about anything differently going forward? Because when we get up to speech, we're getting up to talk, to persuade, to educate, to inform, or entertain. So I hope you'll be entertained today with our group. We only have a few visitors, so let's just take a quick moment for you to say your name and your country. Let's start with you, Beverly.
Hi, I'm Beverly Wise, and I'm in Pittsburgh in Pennsylvania in the United States.
Welcome. Jorge.
Hi, sorry, was muted. I'm from Buenos Aires, Argentina.
Welcome. Thank you very much for coming and being an evaluator today. Shamil.
Yes, Shamil.
Thank you. And where are you coming to us from?
I'm living in Istanbul,
Excellent.
Turkey.
So glad to hear that you're safe and doing well. And then
Thank
Mr. Paul.
Hello, I'm Paul O'Mahony. I'm coming to you from Cork in Ireland. That's in Europe, a little island out in the Atlantic.
He got to eat 5-layer cake recently. Daniel, are you a guest as well?
I believe I'm a member.
Okay, well, welcome. I would love to get to know you better so I don't make that faux pas again. And who else do we have here as a guest? I think that's everyone. The rest of us are members. Layla.
Hi, my name is Layla, and I'm from Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Hopefully soon to become a member of Masters of Evaluation.
Yay.
Thank you.
See, I was so optimistic, I already thought you were a member. So at this time, I'm going to turn it over to our Toastmaster of the day, Vincent, who's going to take it away and start the meeting off with a bang.
Ladies and gentlemen, I've had already the pleasure to introduce 2 of my fellow members, Beverly and George, and I would like to also welcome my third fellow member, Paul O'Mahony. He's also a member of Firebirds Collective. He's a member of different clubs around the world. He's a a wonderful speaker, and he's he is one of the best sergeant-at-arms you could possibly believe you could have. Before we continue, I would like to introduce Muriel, our sergeant-at-arms at this end of the world. So she gives us a bit of a feedback of how she's doing it and what are the criteria to be admitted to our meeting today. Muriel.
Would you like me to do a double take? I did it once, but I'll be happy to do it again. Is that what you're asking for?
I mean, as I said, before you deliver your speech, you need to warm up, and this was your opportunity to do so.
Okay, and you would like me to share some of the housekeeping rules again, Vincent?
Well, I just wanted to introduce you properly as one of the most important parts of our membership. I presume that our timer has not yet arrived, has she?
There she is.
There she is, okay. Let me see. Yes, there's Shantae. Shantae, may I ask you to come onto the stage and give us an idea about what time limitations are we going to put into place today?
Absolutely. We have some amazing speakers today. I believe the speeches are all 5 to 7 minutes. Please correct me if I am wrong. But
I think Muriel's is slightly longer as far as I can. Let me quickly see. I think Muriel's is 10 to 12 minutes.
No, 8 to 10.
8 to 10.
I don't need the extra time.
No
Okay.
worries. 8 to 10. Sounds great. So for the 5 to 7 minute speeches, at 5 minutes, you will see the wonderful green light that flows with St. Patrick's Day today, but we will use it just as our minimum guidance for all of you. The second light you will see at 6 minutes, which is going to be the yellow light right behind me. And then at 7 minutes, you will see the red, which means that you have 30 seconds to complete your thought and wrap it up. For Muriel's speech, which is 8 to 10, you will see the green Muriel at 8. You will see the yellow at 9, and you will see the red at 10, which means you also have 30 seconds to wrap it up. For evaluations, we are still going with 2 to 3 minutes, correct?
Yes.
So at 2 minutes for evaluations, you will see the green light. At 2.5, you will see the yellow. And at 3 minutes, you will see the red, which means you also have 30 seconds to complete your thought and wrap it up. Thank you. Back to you, Vincent.
Thank you very much, Shantae. Thank you for stepping up to be our timer today and renouncing of being an evaluator. So she has given up something just to be of service. That's something to give an applause. Evaluations. It is probably the most complicated part of Toastmasters because we all shy away to tell somebody how they could do better. I remember Sandra telling us a story about walking into a McDonald's and telling the chef how to do his hamburgers in a different way. We tend to just keep quiet and not say anything. That here we have to stretch ourselves. We need to listen carefully. We are not necessarily listening. We want to sharpen our ears. We need to pay attention to what we hear and what we see and what we feel when a speech is being delivered. And therefore, today we will have this unique opportunity to hear and see 3 different speakers and then give them individually feedback from between 2 to 3 different evaluators, which is unique and something to take home and perhaps something to repeat in your home clubs. We wanted to do this today instead of having a club competition that allows us all to compete and all of us to win and all of us to go forward. Because I believe that each and every one of us will learn something today. And again, using Sandra's phrases, steal something from our speakers or evaluators. And since I've had a few messages about What am I going to introduce or induce you to felonies? No. We want you to listen. And if you find something like a rhetorical device, if you find something that somebody has heard or seen something which you didn't, then feel free to use it in your own evaluations in the future. So stealing in a positive way, that you can copy something, that you find something, that you suddenly see something which you haven't seen. And we do this today as if we were in a museum. I don't know whether you've ever seen a painting by Picasso or Miro. And you see that, and you see a few colored dots, and say, well, that's very nice. So it would fit just above my coffee table. And then you have somebody who explains to you the composition of these colored dots. And suddenly your eyes open and your mouth open and say, wow, I didn't see that. I didn't recognize that. And today we want to do exactly that. We want you to recognize patterns. We want you to recognize structures and transitions to make a speech better and to be an award-winning speaker in the end. That is all I wanted to say as an introduction. I would like to introduce our first speaker, the Victoria, who has been...
I think George has his hand up and he wants to say something.
George, well, I asked if you were just saying hello. Yes, George.
Oh, no, my apologies. I am listed in team 3, allegedly to evaluate Mary Prayer. And speaker 2 in the agenda is Muriel, but Muriel has the label of speaker 3 in the name. So I'm confused about who I am evaluating.
Well, let's clear up that confusion. I'll be happy to rename myself.
Oh, okay. So you're 2. You're 2.
Okay. I was 3 on Free Toast Host, but I'll be happy to be 2.
That's great. And who's okay? And who's the number 3? Mary, the one that says Mary's iPhone.
I don't know whether Mary is already connected. Yes, Mary's iPhone. There she is. I believe that.
Thank you so much. Apologies for the
interruption. Don't worry, George. Thank you for making sure that everything is under control. Victoria Trabosch, she is the founding member of our club, and she had an experience which perhaps not many of us would like to share in recent weeks. Victoria Trabosch's speech is Cancer, from Tears to Triumph. From tears, Cancer, from tears to triumph. Victoria Trabosch, the stage is yours.
Does the word cancer scare you? Do you know anyone who's had cancer? How do we take cancer from tears to triumph? In 2014, I was diagnosed with oral cancer. I had a tumor growing out of my mouth. I couldn't see my teeth. It was so large. And I had 36 radiation treatments. And those 36 radiation treatments ended cancer as I knew it. But I constantly was being tested for more cancer, biopsies in my mouth, and they had no idea why I had oral cancer. And in the beginning of January, one of those biopsies turned out to be a tumor in my jaw. I was told that the surgery would be quite intense, that I would have a tracheostomy, a nasogastric feeding tube. They would take out teeth, take skin off my arm, put it in my mouth, and I would be in intensive care. I fought that. I said no. And then I decided I had to say yes. And I said yes to dealing with my cancer one more time. Today, I'd like to frame my solution to triumph around 3 things: the power of focus and faith, the power of partnership, and the power of no. Let me start with the power of focus and faith. Focus is an acronym. Follow one course until successful. Okay, I can do that. I'll go through the surgery. You explain to me what will happen. But I actually found that there's the acronym needs to be added to. Follow one course with corrections until successful. Focus. I came out of that surgery with paralysis to my face. I have a little bit of a Sylvester Stallone thing going on with my lip. They took out 5 more teeth. I can't chew food. Follow one course with corrections until successful. I am dealing with the aftermath of this surgery. Faith I often talk about as our faith in ourselves. But actually, in this case, it was my faith in a higher power. In 2014, I came up with an acronym for cancer. The C is compassion for myself and others. A, acknowledgement of the Holy Spirit. N, no fear of the future. C, Christ is my rock, my anchor, and my rope. E, every need shall be met. R, rejoice in his grace. CANCER. I needed to take cancer from tragedy to triumph. And that faith got me through. I had people all over the world praying for me, and I felt the power of that prayer. The tracheostomy was supposed to be in for at least a week. It was out after 5 days. The nasal gastric feeding tube, which is pumping food directly into your stomach, was supposed to be in for 2 weeks. It was out after 5 days. The healing that I experienced was greater than anything that those doctors expected. And in those moments, I found peace. That is the power of focus and faith for me. The power of partnership is all the people that I partnered with, including my husband, who took wonderful care of me. The doctors, I had 4 surgeons for a 7-hour surgery. I was in intensive care for 7 days. And those doctors would come into my room and we would laugh. I don't know why I was laughing, but I was laughing. We would talk. They would tell me, oh, this paralysis, you know, we hit a nerve and that can happen. And I trust those doctors with my life. But those partnerships that we make in life also have to do with the people in our community. I told a few people about my cancer because I really didn't want to share it with anyone. I'm very private, as outgoing as I am. I'm very private. But I decided to share the cancer with a few people like Muriel Shabbat. And I said, Muriel, keep it on the down low. Muriel, on the other hand, told everybody she knew, shared my Caring Bridge website. And I am so grateful and so thankful. I heard from so many of you in this club, pulling for me, asking how I was doing, because I could text. I could talk actually after the 2nd day with the tracheostomy in, because I was intent on talking. But Muriel's influence and her power of positive thinking and sharing with everyone, that is the power of partnership through cancer. I have a speech therapist, I have a physical therapist, I have all kinds of doctors. I'm working on this to come up with an answer. Why do I have oral cancer? And what's next? No teeth. I've got enough teeth in front, but I'm telling you, in the back, it's missing. And when you think about that, you think about, how will I be able to ever eat again? I'm losing weight. My body's rocking, but it's not exactly the way I wanted it. But the power of partnership is that I will not cease working on solutions. And then finally, there's the power of no. They got the cancer out. I had a drain in my neck. They took a neck dissection. They checked lymph nodes. Where they put the skin on my arm and my mouth, there's nothing around the margins. They said they got the cancer out, but they're worried the cancer is going to come back. And I say no to cancer. No to paralysis. And no to giving up. For our next MoE meeting, I'll be absent because I'm going to Boston to meet with a preeminent oral cancer surgeon in the world. And I want to find out what more can be done. I can't do another surgery. I cannot do another surgery. And I really want to stick around for a while. I got some stuff to do in the world. Mm-hmm. So the power of no is saying yes to ourselves. Yes, I will continue to battle this cancer. I will beat it like it owes me money. And V's are hard to say. They sound like V's. So I'm going to beat it like it owes me money. Listen, Marion DuPontis, a director, said, Fear holds us captive, but courage sets us free. I have decided to take a courageous view of this cancer. It is not easy. Sometimes I watch myself talk. I'll watch the video back and I just want to weep. As a woman, I don't want my face paralyzed. I don't want it disfigured. But I also am not done. And if fear holds me captive and courage sets me free, I will be courageous. So please, if you face cancer, consider the power of focus and faith, the power of partnership, and the power of no. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, courageous Victoria. Her name implies that she is courageous. She was born to be courageous. Ladies and gentlemen, you have a minute to post direct messages to Victoria with some ideas of how she could have performed better. Make these notes for yourselves as well, because then you can compare your notes with what other evaluators will be saying later on. Is the time up, Shantae? What do you think?
Yep, 1 minute's up.
Okay, wonderful. Our next speaker is Muriel. And I always like titles, and her title is The Road Less Traveled. But that is a wonderful start. This gives me appetite to listen to what you are going to tell us. Muriel, the stage is yours. The Road Less Traveled. The Road Less Traveled, Muriel Shabazz. Might not be hearing you. We can see your PowerPoint. But yes, now I can see you are unmuted. Good. Off you go.
I am unmuted. Let's see it. Okay. Okay. Can you see it now?
Yes.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I want to say that he is bolder than Joe Biden. He's more compassionate than Ronald Reagan. He was in favor of peace, not war, like George Bush. He supported racial equality for every American citizen, not a flawed crime bill like Bill Clinton. Who is this Cape Crusader, you may ask? Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters guests, and wannabe superheroes. He is Mr. Carter. No, not Sean Corey Carter, also known as Jay-Z. He is James Earl Carter Jr., 39th president of this United States of America. And he is the longest living former president of our beloved country. Jimmy Carter is 98 years old. born in October, a Libra, like me. He fought many political and social challenges during and since his presidency. Today, Jimmy Carter is fighting his greatest challenge ever. Jimmy Carter is fighting for his life. Recently, as many of you may know, Jimmy Carter opted to go into home hospice. Yes, President Jimmy Carter is my most beloved, my most revered former American president. Now, I know most of you would have thought I would say Obama. I love Obama. Now, President Carter, he served our country fearlessly, courageously, always taking the road less traveled. Did any of you know that President Carter was known as a lover? Because he befriended the first Black naval midshipman after World War II at the U.S. Naval Academy. Carter, he always took the road less traveled. When the Georgia White Citizens Council, sometimes referred to as the Ku Klux Klan, when they visited his peanut farm in Georgia, they demanded that he join their organization, their racist organization. They even offered to pay his $5 membership fee. Then they threatened to boycott his peanut farm. You know what Carter did? He took $5 from his cash register. No, he didn't tell them to shove it. He took the $5 from his cash register, flushed it down the toilet, and he told them he would never join their racist organization. Jimmy Carter, a man who always takes the road less traveled. Carter made global enemies when he advocated openly for the rights of all women, taking the road less traveled. When the guinea worm ravaged over 14 countries like Yemen and Ghana and India, other world leaders turned their backs on this debilitating parasite disease, which had infected more than 3 million people. Now, Carter, he took up the cause, helping to eradicate this deadly parasite, saving millions of lives. Some epidemiologists estimate that Carter's campaign against the guinea worm prevented up to 90 million infections. Carter once said, "I want the guinea worm to die before I do." While recounting a trip he took to Nigeria, he told a journalist that his motorcade saw children and adults holding up signs that said, "Look out, guinea worm, here comes Mr. Carter." Most Americans don't realize the giant that we have among us. Did any of you know that President Carter owes his winning the presidency, the White House, to the Black vote? Black people supported and voted for Jimmy Carter because he turned his back on racism, and when told not to mention racial discrimination at his presidential inauguration, he rebelled. And during his inauguration, he said, "We must end racial discrimination." And this, of course, angered many of his white supporters. Carter, he always took the road less traveled. As war and rumors of war were raging in Israel and in Palestine, he created the Camp David peace talks between these two nations and was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for all of his efforts towards peace. Carter, he took the road less traveled. For over 30 years, the housing crisis has always been at the top of President Carter and Rosalind Carter's list. Aligning himself with Habitat for Humanity, he helped create over 4,000 100,000 housing units for the unhoused, always taking the road less traveled. Carter tried to alter America's trajectory and her mindset. However, we all know America can sometimes be a stubborn old goat, stuck in her ways. President Carter's superpower is his staunch belief in God. This he learned from his spiritual coach. Her name, Miss Rachel Clark. Rachel Clark, Carter credits with teaching him morals. And here's a picture of Rachel Clark. She was the one that Carter says taught him about being virtuous, about being humane, about being kind and loving, and not seeing people's color, but seeing their humanity. Toastmasters is an international organization with a global reach. And like Jimmy Carter, we too must reimagine and be fearless revolutionaries. Memberships were dwindling before COVID. Bold, radical, visionary leadership is necessary to stem this tide of declining enrollments. Toastmasters has grown to embrace much that is to be admired. It has outgrown its old misogynistic ways, its racist ways that was the foundation when it started. However, there is room for more and more growth. Where can we find that Carter mystique? Tag. You're it, Toastmasters. Let's demand club partnerships that will create enriched club experiences and retention of members and the returning of guests. Yes, I know I hear this all the time. That will reduce the overall numbers of the clubs, but it has the potential to increase the quality of the remaining clubs. And you know, I understand that it's all about money, ain't a damn thing funny. However, we are not headed into a brighter and better future with the current format. President Carter, I hope you make it to 100 and beyond, because you kept it 100 with us. You have crafted a legacy of humanity, love, caring, and understanding, always fighting the good fight, always taking risks, encouraging and inspiring people like me to be bolder, stronger, more audacious, and taking the road less traveled. President Carter's favorite quote, he said, "Earlier in my life, I thought that the things that mattered were the things that you could see, like your car, your house, your wealth, your office. However," Carter said, "that as I have grown older, I am convinced that the things that matter the most are the things you cannot see. The love you share with others, your inner purpose, and the comfort with who you are." There's great love for you here, Mr. President, Mr. Toastmaster.
Audacious Muriel, thank you very much for a splendid speech. Again, ladies and gentlemen, you have 1 minute where you can make some notes of what you've seen, what you've heard, how the speech connected to you.
One minute is up.
Thank you very much, Shante. She's always on the ball. She knows when to tell us we are ready to go on. Our third speaker is Mary Pryor. Now, she has this exciting title, which is called TBA, to be announced. I sent her a message, but she didn't reply. So she will enlighten us with the title. Mary, are you ready to roll?
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster and fellow Toastmasters. I did send a title. However, I'm sorry you did not receive it.
Don't you worry. What's the title? Tell us.
The title of my speech is Sharing Her Legacy, Remembering Her Legacy, and Sharing Her Legacy.
All right. Let me introduce you properly then.
Yes.
Mary Pryor, Sharing Her Legacy. Sharing Her Legacy, Mary Pryor. Off you go.
Good morning, fellow Toastmasters, and welcome guests. As most of you are aware, March is Women's History Month. Today, I share with you a woman in history I admired and respected. Her tenacity and many accomplishments. African-American, lawyer, educator, and politician. Barbara Charlene Jordan, born February 21st, 1936, in Houston, Texas. Died January 17th, 1996. Barbara Jordan was the first Black woman to succeed in Texas politics following the Reconstruction years. She served in the U.S. House of Representatives. Barbara graduated magna cum laude from Texas University. Following that, 3 years later, she received her law degree from Boston University. Her extensive knowledge and beliefs of the Constitution of the United States was remarkable. Barbara was selected to serve in the Texas Senate in 1966. The first Black elected to Texas Senate in 83 years. Among her many accomplishments, she received the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Barbara Jordan emerged as an eloquent speaker. She was a powerful speaker. Once you heard her voice, you would never forget it. In her president pro tem, she was elected to the Texas president pro tem. This great woman achieved many firsts in her career. She was a great trailblazer, educator, and beloved by her constituents. For this reason and many other reasons, I admired this great woman for being a trailblazer and her many accomplishments that she shared with us during her political career. I would just like to share with you her voice and her eloquent way of communicating with America.
Guide our debate, guide our decision. Friends in the Democratic Party, the American dream is not dead. It is not dead. It is gasping for breath, but it is not dead. You know, it was an obvious plant, but so what? I was the beneficiary. King Solomon said, without vision, where there is no vision, the people perish.
This is a radio tribute to a great American.
Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, I hope you heard the voice of the late Barbara Jordan and how eloquently she communicated with America during her political career. Back to you and Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Mary. And thank you very much for sharing this audio piece, because here, as professional speakers, we heard a rhetorical device. American democracy. It is not dead. It is not dead. It is not dead. That is what we're learning to distinguish at Toastmasters Master of Evaluations. Rhetorical devices. Now I would like to call onto the stage our fourth speaker. You say, well, wow, we don't have a fourth speaker. Yes, we would have. Let me continue, please. Since we had wanted to have a fourth speaker, I would like him to give at least the possibility to say that he would have loved to be here. John White cannot speak today because of time restraints, and I know that. But I still think he should have a minute of stage presence and tell us what he would have told us. John, the stage is yours.
This is highly unexpected. Like he said, I would have loved to have been here. Rather than give you a couple second tease and disrespect the three fine speeches, just know that I will have my version of a memorable speech next meeting. That my voice will not be silenced.
This meeting is being recorded.
You will hear from me again. Thank you very much for that opportunity. Back to you.
Thank you so very much, John. Thank you. It was a heartfelt abrazo. Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the first end of my part. I will turn over the stage to Ray, an Irishman who is here today to be our general evaluator, introduce all our evaluators. And one has to take off our hat because both Paul and Ray are Irishmen. And today is St. Patrick's Day. So rather than being out at parades, here they are at Master Evaluation to dedicate time to the quality of our meeting. Ray, may I invite you to the stage?
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters. Warm welcome. I arrived a little bit late this evening as the general evaluator. I think I was running on Irish time. I was an hour behind. It's all changed. But listen, let me break the ice. I'm having a few problems with my camera. If you see glitches, just ignore it and I'll try and roll with the punches, as they say in the boxing ring. Paddy was on his Spanish holidays. He goes up to the bar. He says, Jesus, I'll have a pint of lager. The barman says, por favor. Paddy says, you can por favor. I'm only paying for one. There we go. We all love a little bit of Irish humour, whether it goes down well or not. Tonight, I have the pleasure of being your general evaluator. I'm going to introduce the team and get this off to a great start. The first evaluation, we have a contest-style evaluation and a message-driven evaluation. Our first speaker will be Judith Ferber with a contest style evaluation. Judith, over to you.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator. I don't know about a contest evaluation, but I'll try my best. So, Vicky, this was a very courageous speech. I certainly commend you to do it. I had my experience, a little brush with cancer, but I was too scared of talking about that, so I never really spoke about this myself. So there it is. And one of the things that I would like to add to this speech, it was really great, and some of this I can relate to, some not. I am not a person of faith or religion, but I think that I understand that that is really a very important part of many people's recovery and life, and I get that, and sometimes I wish I had this. Now, the thing is that you started your speech, does cancer scare you? Well, I think the word cancer scares everyone. When I heard that I had cancer, I had tears coming down and I said, oh my God, now what happens? And it's a very scary word. And so what I would have liked to see at the beginning of your speech, it says, it did scare me. And I wanted to know how scared you were, a little more emotions about this, because it is a scary thing. At least I think that people think this is the end of one's life. Anyway, that's how I feel about these things. Anyway, I love the whole 3 points of the focus, the partnership, and the power of no. And I think these are really very important points, certainly of this various faith and religious aspect. And of course, the partnership. The power of no is kind of interesting. It just kind of reminded me of Nancy Reagan, who said to drugs, just say no. Well, sometimes it worked and sometimes it didn't, but it's true. It is a personal journey. And you expressed to us a personal journey that worked for you. Now, I would have liked to have a couple more things in this to say, when you had doubt, because you did have all the strengths and you had a faith, you had a partner of your friends and your husband, and the strengths that, yes, I say no to cancer. But everyone, I think, has a doubt every now and then, would this really work? And I like to hear something a little bit that sometimes in the middle of the night you woke up, I said, does this really work? Will I be okay? And then one think about all these various things to get the courage together. It was really great that you shared this with us, and it was nice to hear your speech, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Judith. Round of applause there. That's great. Moving on to our next part of Team 2, which is the message-driven evaluation. And our timer will just confirm it's 2 to 3 minutes for each of these evaluations. Our next speaker is an Irishman himself. You can tell by the surname. It's Paul O'Mahony with a message-driven evaluation. Paul, across to you.
Who doesn't want to triumph? Weren't you really pleased to hear Vicky triumph? You'd be weird if you weren't pleased. And let me tell you that I thought that when Vicky asked the question, are you scared of cancer? I thought there was going to be a good introduction, which would hook the audience which would earn the attention of the audience for what I was sure was going to be mainly a personal story. So my first thing I noticed was that the introduction to the speech was about 15 seconds long maximum. And I think this is terribly important, the length of the introduction, because that's where you earn the attention. And my recommendation to Victoria is that she increases it from 15 seconds to at least 45 seconds. Do not start a personal story on sooner than 45 seconds, because some of us will have gone to the kitchen saying, oh God, I've heard 100 personal stories. Why do I want to hear another one? So it's why do I want to hear it? So that would be my first point. The second thing I noticed, or that I want to draw attention to, is really the religious element of the speech. And of course, a speaker has all the right to reveal their personal values. However, there is always a risk that in the audience there are people and judges who are irreligious and perhaps anti-religion. So I think you have to earn the permission to talk about religion. You have to earn it. And talking about a religious character like Jesus Christ, without saying anything like, I know some of you may not have a religious faith. I have, and I hope you won't mind if I tell you a little about my own faith. That would win you the hearts and minds of most people. So that's my second recommendation. My third thing I noticed was the speed at which Vicky spoke, which for me, the speech felt like a lot. For a 5 to 7 minute speech, I felt a lot was being crammed, a huge amount. Important stuff, but too much for me. And I found myself asking throughout a lot of the speech, what's the point of this speech? I mean, I love Vicky. I love Victoria. She's fantastic. I learned an awful lot about her, but that wasn't the point of the speech. No, Vicky was giving a gift to me and to you. And at the end, where the message was stated, if you face cancer, take the courageous route, I thought, hang on. This is so important. It needs another 45 seconds, not the 14 seconds I timed. So there's a recommendation. Earn stuff in 45 seconds. Be sure you at least make sure the audience know the gift you're giving them by at least 45 seconds at the end, and then cut in the middle so that people take home one thing, not 25 things. That is my suggestion for the next time, Vicky, that you give this speech, which I would like to hear you give again. Thank you.
Round of applause there. Yes, thank you, Paul, for your evaluation. Excellent. We're moving on now to team 2. So this section we have broken down into visual evaluator, a verbal evaluator, and a heartfelt evaluator. To lead us at the beginning will be the visual evaluator, so how we see, and that is Beverly Wise this evening. Beverly, would you mind taking the stage?
Thank you, fellow Toastmasters. This was a great speech. It took me a while to catch on to just what I was doing, so I heard more than I was supposed to. But I'm glad I did, because I had a couple of moments of confusion there. The first issue was the background you have. What I see on my screen is most of the title, The Road Less Traveled. You're in the middle, and then I see two things that at first I thought were knees, which made it look like you were being born, shall we say. It might, but then I'm thinking, well, maybe it's fingers, but I'm not sure. So that was a little confusing to me. And because what I can see on the little screen here is mostly that and everything below your chin is covered by your name. If you had any hand movements that came up in this area, I didn't see them. So I probably missed something. The slides, I was a little confused. Again, fortunately, I cheated and I heard why you had the Jay-Z slide up first. That being a Mr. Carter, I didn't know that was a Mr. Carter. I certainly know about Jimmy Carter, and I thank you for giving us some of the highlights of his quite illustrious life. You've done I think you did a great job of telling us what wonderful things he has done for, especially given the track record in this country. He is an outstanding president, isn't he? And thank you for sorry, you were looking at your notes. I could tell that but you did a really good job of it. It didn't get in the way. It didn't trip you up. You didn't have to stop like I just did. You just did a very good job. It was clearly a well-rehearsed speech. And what I can say most of all that I saw in your speech is your happy face. You are clearly so happy. So all I had to do was put that face with your slides together, and I knew you were giving a very heartfelt, happy speech about someone who deserves that kind of attention. So I thank you very much.
Thank you, Beverly. Warm round of applause there for Beverly's visual evaluation. Moving on now to our next, which is a verbal evaluation. That's going to be from Jesper this evening. So, Jesper, the stage is yours.
I think Jesper has not arrived. I will step in. As a fellow Toastmaster, we always step in somewhere and make sure that you get what you expect to get. It was a long speech. And I would have probably preferred to have a bit more of ups and downs in your voice. You have a very strong, powerful voice. But sometimes going slightly lower, whispering perhaps, could make things easier. Number two, I would have liked, as we heard in this recording, some sort of rhetorical devices, something which pulls me in. Remember what this lady said. It is not dead. The democracy is not dead. It is not dead. These things make our speeches more powerful, and that allows you to get your message across. I enjoyed your adoration of Jimmy Carter. It also shows that America is the land of possibilities, that somebody who is an outsider still can make it. So all in all, I think it was a wonderful speech. I didn't closely listen to your rhetorical devices, but I just remember what I heard, and I turn the stage back to you. And I would like you to keep your microphones muted if you're not speaking, because then suddenly, for instance, Melton is on. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Round of applause there for Vincent jumping in at the last minute on St. Patrick's Day. Heartfelt evaluations. That's the next one for us. And giving us that will be April. To the stage, please.
And thank you, Ray. Greetings all, and our Muriel. Okay, evaluating from the heart, Muriel, your road less traveled. You start us off with Jay-Z, Carter, and you give us Jimmy Carter. And I thought, okay, what does this matter to Muriel? What does it matter? And you told me tons about Jimmy Carter, the president, who I also had some affection for. So we were kind of in the same neighborhood together, if you will. And it was a good educational on the president, Jimmy Carter, who we know is going through, seems his last aspects of his life. And here I was listening to you do an apt description, Muriel. You're very good as you communicate. And in fact, I think of you as being quite selective, Muriel. It's like you have a bouquet you're assembling to give and share to all of us. You're taking the flowers over here, white and yellow, and over here, oh, there's fragrance that you're adding in. And it's because you are very conscientious of how you're communicating and you want to do a very effective job. And oftentimes you do. And it's glorious the way you often speak. How is telling us about Jimmy Carter glorious for you? I did not understand that. I wanted to know from you, Muriel, what's so important about a road less traveled in your life? How are you making sure you park yourself in the driver's seat and go forth on that lane? Jimmy, okay, what I want is more of Muriel and who she is and why she pursued this story and why she pursues or chooses not to pursue a road less traveled. When you go about creating an additional iteration of this speech, I would like you to say at the beginning and at the end, this is why this matters to me. And if it matters to me like this, perhaps you'll find it matters to you. The road less traveled. I'll see you there. Thank you, Muriel.
Thank you, April, for your wonderful, heartfelt evaluation. Moving on to team 3. So we have a visual evaluator, a verbal evaluator, and a heartfelt evaluator again for the third section. Our first evaluator to the stage. I've got 2 names here. I can see it's written as George and it's also Jorge. So whichever you prefer, George or Jorge, to the stage, yeah, please.
Or George, whatever you want. George is fine. George is fine. Thank you. My task is to do a visual evaluation, which is a new thing for me for 2 reasons. 1, because I'm used to do evaluations in general, and 2, because I'm neurodiverse. This is Neurodiversity Week, so I'm mentioning that. And that means that I'm simultaneously looking at all the channels that are combining all the visual signals because I'm Asperger autistic. So I'm struggling to do just the visual piece. I'm doing my best. Here it goes. She was doing a remembering her legacy speech, and that was a very heartfelt, and I could see in the facial expressions that Mary was doing, even if she was reading or even if she was consulting the notes, it is clear that she was living the story. One of the points I have is living the story. Yes, she was really into that and she was being emotionally touched by that. You could see that in the facial expressions. And I say that because it was difficult initially for me to perceive the facial expression because of the reflection of the lenses. So I'm going to interleave here things that I like with tiny tips to fix that. The lenses are a problem if you have something very bright in the back. There was a window in the back that was reflecting on the lenses. And in a speech like this, you want your eyes to also speak for you. I thought that the speech was well prepared. It was very solemnly delivered. It was extremely respectful in the delivery. And you could see that the care and the attention that she was putting. One of the points is, would I have understood that if I could not hear it? Yes, because the vocalization was perfect. I could read her lips and sync with the audio that I was pretending to ignore, and I was still getting the message perfect. I would prefer also to get the message through the eyes. It's me, I'm autistic, I need to see the eyes. One other thing that I would like to comment, which is logistics. I think she was using a phone, and when you use a phone, the default is you have it vertically. Now, I have it in a base so that it doesn't move, but even if it has a base, you can put it horizontally, and then the image goes in landscape mode. And for Zoom, it's much better to have landscape mode. The other thing that I would mention is to have it farther away from you, because I would like to see the hands. And if I am here, even if I move my hands, you see partial movements. And in a speech like this, even the tiniest movements of the hands add a lot of value. And now you see my hands. And the fact that you can get closer and that you can get further away allows you some extra intimacy with the speaker, with the public, where you're delivering a message and maybe combining with the voice, make it as a whisper. But the equivalent of the whisper is to come close to the camera and to deliver a message as if I were telling this in your ear. It was a brilliant speech. It touched me, even if I don't have a clue who the person was, because I'm not in American history, but I like it a lot. It was a very, very well-delivered speech. Thank you very much.
George, thank you for your evaluation. Wonderful round of applause there for George on St. Patrick's Day. Here we go. The next one is our verbal evaluator this evening. That will be the maestro himself, Mr. Harold G.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Fellow Toastmasters, most welcome, and particularly Mary Pryor. Your speech was sharing, my understanding, sharing her legacy, and her legacy was late Barbara Jordan. I thought you were in command of this speech. You had a certain restrained passion in your voice. You provided you crafted a speech in a way that was quite interesting. The introduction, you talked about Barbara Jordan. I was interested. What about Barbara Jordan? Mary Pryor was saying that Barbara Jordan impressed you. And I believe she influenced your life, but you didn't ever explain how, and you never mentioned she did. But in the middle, you point out her achievements, all the things that she had done when she passed away. And at the very end, we heard this recording about democracy, and it will not die. Now, let's get into how could this have been even better, because you're a skilled and very experienced speaker, Mary Pryor, which I have high regard for you. I thought you would do something like point out 3 things that impressed you. It's like bullets. Her courage, her intellect, her determination to achieve. This like that. Let it go. And how that reflected in your life. You've gone on, you persevered because of Barbara Jordan. You thought about the difficulties she had, and it gave you energy. It gave you the courage to go on. But at the same time, legacy. Legacy is everyone's going to have a legacy. Well, whether we like it or not, it's what we hand down. What do you think you will hand down? I know that you have a high-achieving, brilliant daughter. Share that with us. Share how she influenced you in some way. Barbara Jordan was a phenomenal woman, a phenomenal talent. Her achievements were phenomenal. She's an inspiration. I get that. And Mary Pryor, you should share with others how your life really has been an inspiration to others in some way. Don't be humble. And I thought a few times you were reading the speech and you didn't have to do that. You seem to really have a passion for Barbara Jordan. I enjoyed your speech. I got that in your voice. And I enjoyed the way you crafted the speech. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Harold, for that wonderful evaluation. Giving us a bit of an Irish stew there to mix it all up. Our third speaker this evening is going to give us a heartfelt evaluation. Calling to the stage, Mayuri.
Thank you for the invitation. Wow, it was always great to learn about something new. And today it is my opportunity to get to know a little bit of a piece of history, but more than that, about a woman that was a trailblazer, Barbara Jordan. Thank you, Mary, for doing this presentation. It's really important for us. And for me, it's more important because I'm a foreigner. And to learn and embrace the culture of this country that has given me a home is top notch. Thank you again. You have opened a new important door for me. Reminded me that all of us can succeed, but it doesn't come easy. It doesn't come alone. It doesn't come just because I want to succeed. It comes with work and perseverance. And that's what you show us with this speech about Barbara Jordan. It takes works and perseverance. And yes, Mary, you did it today, making me think that I can do it all. If I fall down, I have to stand up, clean my knees, and keep going again and again. Doesn't matter how many times I fall down. That can happen to me too. I can learn and I can achieve, but it takes a little bit of work. The goals are in there, are in front of us, and that's what you show us with this speech about Barbara Jordan. The information was enough for me to get me interested on her bio, and I promise to you, I'm enticed and I will read about this woman. Women, we are powerful. I heard the first speech and I was also, we can do many things. The information was enough for me to get interested on her bio. I would have loved to see you speaking to us directly to the camera instead of reading your notes. You know this speech and you love the bio, the life of this woman, and you could have spoken directly to us. Other than that, to me, it called my attention, and I will take it as an invitation to learn more about her history. Thank you. Back to you.
Thank you, Mayuri. Excellent round of applause there for Mayuri's evaluation. Listen, can I ask everyone to just open your microphones for a second? Let's have an Irish rebel rousing round of applause for all the evaluators.
Wow. Great job.
Hey, well done. Well done.
Congratulations. Irish round of applause.
All right.
Well, at this time, I would like to thank all of our participants, and I'd like to thank Vicki as she is going to launch a poll for us. We are voting, and everybody, wasn't it nice just to have the time put into the chat? That was very efficient. We were running tight on time. So let's launch our poll for best speaker and best evaluator. And then we'll have another poll in just a little bit. And I want to get your feedback on what you thought of the different evaluation styles. So,
Best speaker is first. I did not qualify, so we're voting between Muriel and Mary. Please, everyone, including guests, vote. The poll is launched. If you can't see it, it's because you're a co-host or something. So send me in private chat your vote for best speaker.
while you're doing that, I want to do a real quick rundown of the 5 different evaluations we tried tonight. Something different, because you know what? I heard a lot of new things in the evaluations that we don't normally get with our standard evaluation resource form. We were asked also to be a lot more attentive to the speaker. Did you feel that? That in having a new criteria, you paid more attention to what the speaker was saying. The information that everybody gave back in their feedback was a lot more helpful towards improving. It wasn't just the nice. It was actually thinking and giving your feedback. And every set of ears and eyes in this room is another viewpoint into how that speech was received. And we were a lot more discerning. Rather than the general statements, we gave specifics. And I thought that was really helpful. Now, Judith, you had the easiest and the hardest evaluation to do because there's so much criteria in it. You're going through not only the content, but the organization, the vocal variety, the body language, the whole nine. That's a hard one to do, and it really doesn't allow you to get into your specifics, and yet you did, Judith. And Ray's going to give us an evaluation at the end on how he felt everybody did. On the message driven, we were looking for what was the speaker trying to tell us? Why are they speaking? Did we hear it? Did they make us want to do anything differently? The visual is probably another hard one, and I had to do this in another country not knowing the language, and it was done on purpose to see how much I could understand of the speaker and what they were saying without understanding a word they said. And it's interesting how much our body communicates. The verbal evaluation is my favorite. That's like closing your eyes and just listening to the radio on a Saturday afternoon like today to one of your wonderful stories on the AM, FM radio. Boy, I'm dating myself, AM radio. And then the heartfelt evaluation. Did it hit you? Did it have an influence on you? Are you going to change anything about your life as a result? So that were the 5 different evaluations. And I'd like to now launch our next poll, Vicki, before Ray gives his, for best evaluator.
Couple more of you out there. Make sure you vote, please. Thank you, everyone.
All right. And now that Ray's had a few minutes to collect his thoughts, Ray, how would you like to give us your impression of the entire meeting, specifically our evaluations?
Great, thank you, Sandra. So you'd like me to give the general evaluation report right now? Yeah? Fine, I'll go ahead. Guys, the one thing I want to start with about this club and how it does so well above all other clubs that I've ever noticed, and it's probably down to 1 or 2 people in the club, but they always manage to get it in, is when they open the meeting or when they welcome a guest, they always mention that you are welcome to a president's distinguished club. Now, for me, that sets the tone straight away. You know you're in an environment where we're all stepping up to learn. We all want to achieve. I don't see it in any other club, and it works so well here. So I've got to say big kudos, and especially to Muriel, because she reminds us all the time that it's a president's distinguished club. This evening, I arrived a little bit late. I was running on the old Irish time. Jesus, what can you do? Ha! Big honor. So anyway, I'm glad I arrived just in time for Vicky's speech. I arrived late, but hey, fear holds us captive, but courage sets us free. Oh my word. That was amazing. From Vicky, that was from the heart and the soul, you could tell. Our second speech was from Muriel, and what a beautiful presentation. She spoke eloquently with poise, passion, and purpose. Taking the road less traveled. That was my takeaway as the general evaluator. I loved your inclusion of the Toastmasters message. And our third speaker, Mary, remembering her legacy, a trailblazing speech tonight and a little piece of history. All I can say is I am glad it has been recorded, as I'm sure all of you will want to watch this back again to see the evaluations and the speeches and get the full value out of that. So, guys, instead of just evaluating us all a little bit, I just took a little piece of somebody's, when they were speaking, what did I remember about? What did they say? So I'm just going to run through for our evaluators. Judith, it was just say no. Paul O'Mahony, it was a triumph. Beverly was a happy face. Vincent jumped in. April was selective. George was emotionally touched. Harold showed us restrained passion. And Mayuri was a trailblazer. And the one point, did everyone write it down this evening? Harold said, legacy, like it or not, you're going to give somebody your legacy. How powerful was that? So there's some great takeaways for us tonight. How did the meeting go in general? The polls, right, okay, we delivered the polls. They seem to have worked fantastically. Sandra and Vincent, how can I summarize? The effort that you two have put into this meeting this week, or the last 2 weeks, because I've been in contact with you. If everyone could just open their microphones, give a round of applause. This was such a hard Herculean effort.
Great job.
You really did a fantastic job. You've raised the bar for everyone tonight, as we always do. We always seem to do the same. We raise the bar each week. A lot of the guys aren't here tonight, but I'm sure they're going to be able to see it on catch up, on the video. And if anybody's got a spare camera, send it to me. Over to you, Sandra.
Thank you, Ray. I would like just a quick raise of hands. Did you have a favorite style? We had the contest style, message, verbal, visual, and heart. How many liked the contest style evaluation the best? No. Okay. How about the message? We've got 2 hands for that, 3. How about the verbal? Where you'll get to hear it like a radio station. That's my fave. How about visual? Okay. And how about the heart? Everybody. I hope you take away from this experience a new way to listen, to watch, and to feel speeches, because the people we give them to are having emotions, and we want to help you become better communicators and get your message across clearly and make someone do something as a result. And as we're talking about results, we have a few minutes left. I'd like to ask our guests, starting with Beverly, what you thought of tonight, this morning. You're here in the US, this morning's meeting.
Thank you. I am impressed as hell with this group and with the quality of the evaluations and the care that everyone puts into what they're doing. The speeches blew me away, particularly Vicky's, and the evaluation. I learned so much. Again from the individuals who put so much heart into their evaluations. So thank you. What a great meeting. What a great club.
Thank you. Rumi, did you have a comment? Got your hand up? No? Okay, Shamil, what did you think of tonight's meeting?
Oh, thank you. It was really amazing. I just opened my mouth and listened and trying to learn from your personal histories, experiences, and the knowledge how you and the approach how you giving feedback to each other. This is really valuable, and it's a room for the improvement. It's always room. Yeah.
Good. Well, as soon as you're resuming your meetings over there, please make sure that Meltem sends me an invitation. I love your club. George, what did you think tonight?
I love it. I'm a fan of specialty clubs. And in the UK, for example, we have a data science club. We have clubs for debate and so on. And this is a special thing that I had never thought about, having a club specialty being the evaluation and the different methods of evaluation. So it's really, really very interesting. I learned a lot from listening to you and even from just reading the papers. You know, this is gold for me, all the evaluation rules. This is a way of looking at things that I never looked at. I always try to find the correlation between what's being said, heard, felt, you know, all the different things. Like if you graph it, you will see how they align. It's a correlation between these levels of energy. Looking at one dimension alone is fascinating. It's like looking to a video in black and white, or looking to a video without sound, or looking to a video in different ways. It's very, very interesting and very challenging also. So I look forward to the recording. If it were possible for me to have it just for my own usage, just to see the speeches again and see how they were evaluated, because it's so much to absorb at the same time. This is very new to me, so I would really like if I'm allowed to watch the recording one.
Excellent. And Daniel, I know you're a member, but you haven't said a word. What were your impressions today?
Hi, I'm happy to be back. I missed the last 2 meetings, unfortunately. But I really, really enjoyed these styles of evaluations. Again, okay, I'm not sure if my...
Oh, you froze. You're freezing up.
Hey, I'm sorry.
Okay. All right. Next week we get to talk more. How about Paul Mahoney? What'd you think of tonight's meeting?
Well, I'd like to thank Vincent in particular for making sure I didn't forget it was on. I seem to need about 3 reminders, given the number of meetings that are so attractive. So this was another very attractive meeting. As soon as I arrived, I realized that I was in the presence of some powerful communicators with lots of experience and people who I already know are dedicated to self-improvement. I found the meeting well worth being at. It was I was very pleased to have an opportunity to contribute. And what more can I say? It's another fine Toastmasters clubs. There are an awful lot of very fine Toastmasters clubs in the world that I've been to. So this, and I was completely taken aback to realize that Dave Ryan is your president. You know, Dave Ryan and I live a short distance away from each other, and we were, we were both on the area directors together in the same year. So, yeah, thank you all very much. It has been wonderful to be in your presence, and I hope to come back again soon.
Thank you, Paul. It's always good to see you. Suraj, would you like to contribute any comments about the meeting?
Thank you so much. I'll say a very high caliber meeting. Everybody is on such a different level. It's so interesting. What I really appreciate are all the evaluations that you guys take the time, which most clubs do not. And hence your name, Masters of Evaluation. You really, really live up to your name, because just the caliber evaluations, I love to see people's perspectives. And Muriel, I was very taken, by everybody's speeches, but thank you for that wonderful presentation. And what a title, Take the Road Less Traveled. I found that intriguing. And yes, I just appreciate the evaluations. I really, really do. Like, you absorb so much from everyone's perspective on the speech given by the one person. And it just shows how we all come together and give our perspective. Thank you for letting me be here.
Thank you very much. And Jason, are you able to come on and give us some feedback? My favorite person. No pressure. Okay, guess he's not there. How about Layla? What'd you think of this morning's meeting?
As usual, I thought it was excellent. I thank you very much, Sandra and Vincent, for arranging such a great meeting. You all had fabulous speeches and fabulous evaluators. What I especially liked is that you broke down the evaluation, because there are so many criteria to look at, into visual, verbal, and heartfelt. That was very unique and unusual, and I really enjoyed it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Leila. Meltem, are you able to come off of and turn on your mic? Okay, guess not. Well, with that,
hello.
Oh, yay!
Yes. Hello, everyone. And I'm very grateful for your all experiences and evaluations, many perspectives and many knowledge. As I'm a 1-year-old Toastmaster, I learned a lot today, and I appreciate your contributions. Thank you very much.
Thank you. It's good to see you again.
Thank you.
And did I leave anyone out? No? Great. Well, this was a fabulous meeting, and
I would like to ask the three speakers if the feedback they received was valuable to them, because that is really what we want to know.
Yeah.
This is Vicky. I'll start. Very valuable. I am an international speaker, and to get intensive feedback, I'm going to redo my speech, and I've asked Paul to come back and evaluate it again, because his comments, and Judith's as well, were so powerful. I don't tend to show a lot of emotion. I don't tend to get very scared. So to know that I need to be more vulnerable was very helpful, and also not to jam so much in. So thanks to both of my evaluators and all the comments I received in chat. Remember, everyone, you can save chat by clicking on those 3 dots if you want to save the comments or anything in the chat. Thank you, Vincent.
Muriel, did you have any comments?
Yes, I did. I felt I really learned a lot. I thank each one of you for the feedback, especially my target evaluator, Beverly. And yeah, I got something from that, and I will do like Vicky is saying and redo the speech, because I really love Jimmy Carter, and I know he's in home hospice. However, I'd love to give him his flowers while he's on this side. And so I would love to really redo the speech and do it again, whether it's here or at another club. I will make a comment, though, about in terms of working with Free Toast hosts. I think that some of us went to great lengths to make sure our bios were in Free Toast hosts. And maybe next time we can make sure we access that information so it is there. So thank you for asking.
Thank you, Muriel.
Thank you.
Nerée, what did you think of the feedback that you got today?
I received some feedback. However, I was disappointed that I was not given the opportunity to have more feedback from the regular members and guests. I was not given the 1 minute on the clock for feedback. And also, I took great liberty to make sure my bio was given, and also the speech title, which was not apparently passed on. So I will review the information and regarding this meeting in general, and make sure that I give this speech again. And like Muriel, if not in this club, another club. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, I do have to apologize, because this was a complicated meeting to arrange, because the agenda in Free Toast House doesn't really allow the structure of our meeting today. Therefore, we had a parallel agenda which Sandra designed, and she designed it beautifully. But obviously, the information you had put into the into the toast house I didn't see and we didn't realize. And I do apologize, and I give you a hug, and I also apologize for not giving the audience the 1 minute of silence. But sometimes when you are live on stage, sometimes these things happen, and I can't rewind and I can't change history. But still, I loved your speech, and I think you got some feedback, perhaps more feedback than you would normally get at a different Toastmasters meeting.
And, you know, we are learning
Thank
and
you.
growing. And we also have a minute that we could write Nerée some information, some feedback on her speech. If you haven't already, please take a moment and let's just write in some comments to Mary on her wonderful speech.
And I also would like to take the opportunity to thank Sandra. She has done an enormous job to design the booklet of explaining each and every role. She designed the agenda in different colors so that every evaluator knew where and when they came on. I enjoyed the fact that the agenda didn't have any time on it. I said, that is a wonderful agenda. And I really appreciate her job. I also appreciate Ray's job of having come in on St. Patrick's Day, being our general evaluator, and obviously Shantae of being there, chiming us, and not being able to give an evaluation. And last not least, I would like to thank John for being here and delivering a silent speech.
It's become my specialty. Thank you.
I can read your thoughts. Okay.
I'd like to ask our guests, just before we close the meeting out, to please sign the guest book. I would like to stay in contact with you and get a hold of you and answer any questions you might have. And we really appreciate you participating on St. Patrick's Day. So we had some